welcome to the part 2 of the CH32V003 microcontroller series. In this video, I will be discussing about the datasheet and the reference manual of the CH32V003 microcontroller. So basically, as we already know, with STM32s and STM8 microcontrollers, usually ST provides two sets of documentation. One is the datasheet that defines the properties of the microcontroller, but in a very with very less documentation. It usually shows the specifications, the pinouts, the package type, and electrical properties and other things, though which are in short, I will say, very technical and usually deals with numbers. The reference manual is actually the literature that speaks what each peripherals do and how they can be programmed, what features they have, what can be done and what cannot be done. So these two sets of documents will only be needed if we want to get down to the deep. So our microcontroller, the CH32V003, comes in 4 different packages, and the datasheet shows what these packages are. Technically they are all same except for pin numbers and number of ADCs, and other than that everything is same. So there are a lot of specs and lot of diagrams to see, and I'm pretty much sure everybody knows how to read a datasheet and a reference manual. So that's the basics of the datasheet. And if we see the electrical characteristics, we can see how much voltage the pins can tolerate, what are the conditions for current sink and current source, and other related things. We can also see the specifications of the ADC, its internal reference, the clock speeds, and how the power consumption is affected with speed and peripherals, etc, etc. So now if we look at the reference manual, we can see that there are chapters for all the hardwares that are available. So first we have an overview of the CH32V003 microcontroller. Then we have the chapter dedicated to memory and bus architecture, power control, and other hardware as well. So going through by this reference manual, we will see that it has very similar characteristics to a typical STM32F series or the basic series of microcontrollers. I don't know if it's lack or if it's destined to do to be like this, but I have previously done tutorials with STM8003 microcontrollers. Then I have also did a written tutorial on N76E003. Those who know me already know that those tutorials were written by me, and now at this time I am also doing a video tutorial on CH32V003. So the 003 is a number that stuck with me, I guess. But it's very interesting because the CH32V003, unlike the other two microcontrollers I just mentioned, is a 32-bit microcontroller, and it's quite similar to the STM32s, although it's not an ARM microcontroller. But in terms of coding and in terms of hardware, in terms of the whole thing, I will say it's very similar to the basic STM32s, and it's not that much far-fetched that some people will say that it's a copy, but I won't say it's a copy because Uh, if it was a copy, then it would have been an ARM microcontroller, not a RISC-V microcontroller. Even if the Chinese copied this microcontroller from STM32s, I will say that they have done a tremendous job by replacing the ARM core with RISC-V core. But I will rather say that they have tried to mimic the properties of the hardware of STM32s. And once we go deep down into the coding section, we will see how this is so similar. So the reference manual is only and it's only and only needed if we want to go down really very deep, but most of the times that won't be needed because, as I said, it's very similar to STM32s, so we can guess certain things without even looking at the datasheet or the reference manual at all. So if we see, for example, the clock structure, it is quite similar to the ones we see with STM32s. So there are options for an internal high speed oscillator and an external oscillator as well, and there is a less precise internal low frequency oscillator, and these clocks can be used with a number of peripherals. And here is a summary of what can be done and what cannot be done. So if you are familiar with the STM32s, you will see that it's basically a direct derivative of what we have already seen before. Then looking into the GPIOs, then we will again see very much the same thing as we will find with any microcontroller. The ADC is yet another thing that is similar, and also the timers. There are a lot of things that are common between STM32s and this CH32. In fact, I forgot to mention in my last video, the CH32F103 is just a direct derivative of STM32V, so not V, STM32F103. It's very, very similar. In fact, in the Arduino community, both of these boards from STM and CH32, let me show you, are very much same. In fact, those who have used with leaf maple microcontrollers, they are similar. STM32F103 blue pill is one such example. Its blue pill is very common to hobbyists, and so this blue pill has two variants, one with STM32 and one with CH32. Those who are very attentive will see that they are same. So this is the blue pill, and we also have similarly the same blue pill with CH32F103. In fact, there are a number of videos on YouTube you can see for yourself which shows the similarities and differences between the CH32F103 and STM32F103. So since if I say that they have copied, if they have, then obviously there will be similarities. So that's the datasheet and the reference manual, and there is not much to be, and there's not much to say about all these things. This datasheet and reference manual, these are all documents, and documents are only needed when we really don't understand what's happening inside an hardware. So that will be all for this video. Have a nice day.